Hello, everybody. I am Romonica Jones, the Executive Director of Eclectic Counseling Services. Also the Editor-in-Chief of Live Blessed blog. That is www.liveblessedblog.weebly. That's weebly.com. I want to thank you all so much for visiting our official YouTube channel. And I want to welcome you to our site. You are officially welcomed and officially invited, and thank you for tuning in. Just want to remind you that here we respond to others positively. We believe in uplifting, and our motto is empowering. So welcome home. We're going to jump right in today. We have a lot of ground to cover, and I am super excited to do this. Today's message is let's talk. And just to let you all know that we as human, we spend over 80% of our day communicating, okay? Communication is a billion-dollar industry. That is why we have house phones, we have cell phones, we have YouTube, which is where we're at now. Of course, you know that. We have Facebook, Instagram, Google+. We have Flickr, we have blogs, podcasts, Twitter. We have various websites, and just to name a few things that we do, communication is also used through our text messages. We communicate through our voice messages. We communicate through emails. We communicate through body language, voice tone, verbal words, facial expressions, how we fold our arms, and all of the above. Just to give you all some statistics, it was stated that the question was given as a survey with some parents, and it asked them, do you communicate with your kids during the weekday? 26% of the parents said no. 62% of the parents says yes, but not sufficiently. And 12% of these parents said yes, they communicate sufficiently. So although we're spending 80% of our time communicating with one another, whether it's through text messages, face-to-face, at work, at the church, in a meeting, at home, with our friends, on the phone, sending text messages, updating our Facebook, we're spending sometimes over 80% of our day communicating. But the honest parents in this survey was able to say that only 12% of that time are they communicating effectively with their kids. How many times do we disagree, get into an argument? You walk out of a conversation and you revealed who you were. You talked, you opened yourself up, whether it was through a mate, through a friend, through a neighbor, through a coworker, and you walked out of that conversation more confused than what you was when you went in the conversation. It might have been a supervisor, it might have been your brother, your sister, your best friend, your Twitter friend, your Instagram friends, all of that. Maybe you posted a message and you did not expect to get the responses that you received. And then you thought, well, did they misinterpret? Where does this ineffective communication come from? Number one, we must acknowledge that there is no class that we can take at school on how to effectively communicate. Though this is something that we do all the time, who teaches us, who sit down and teaches us how to relate to one another, and how to cross boundaries of race, age, of course, culture, religion, classism. How do we cross all of these boundaries? Ageism, one generation relating to another generation. How do we cross all of these boundaries, and how do we do it effectively? First, okay, so this is where we're at today, and this is what we're talking about. Once again, the name of our message is Let's Talk. And we're going to break into an icebreaker, how we often do. And this is a poem that I wrote, and I would love for you all to hear it. I'm sure you're going to enjoy it. The name of this poem is Let's Talk. Hey, let's talk. When you talk to me, don't talk down or don't talk at me. And when I talk, listen, because I am the voice that goes unheard. And when you speak, don't you dare get loud or attempt to draw a crowd, because that will unravel the deep down insecurities that lie within me. And I might attack you first. So let's talk. Let me tell you just who I am. I am the broken girl or the broken boy with battle scars who lost their crown on the battlefield of life. So it is hard for me to accept criticism. So when you speak, double sugarcoat each and every word. And if you don't mind, add 2 scoops of vanilla ice cream with caramel topping and a sweet red cherry on top, because those are my favorite flavors. I am the broken girl or boy with battle scars who lost their crown on the battlefield of life. And if you will be patient with me, I will be patient with you, and together we can get on one accord and conquer the world. And above all means, please monitor your anger, because it might remind me of the people that came before you who may or may not have meant me well. And if I see that resemblance of anger in them, I will shut down. And neither one of us will get nowhere. So come on, let's talk. But when you talk, talk to me. Don't you dare talk down or talk at me. Let's talk. So, with that poem, it says that we're not just talking to the person that is in front of us. You might see this well put together piece of leather type of person. You might be talking to someone who is 25, 35, 55, 65. You might be talking to someone who on the outside, they have a college degree, they look educated. You might be talking to someone based on their title. They are a teacher, they are a preacher, they are a counselor, they're a nurse, they're a lawyer, they're a doctor, they are a professional. The poem lets us know that the people that we see in front of us are not always the broken person that we're talking to in the inside. So we have to monitor our anger, monitor our tone, monitor how we approach them, whether it's through criticism, because some of us have lost our crown on the battlefield of life. Okay, so if you're ready to jump in, I'm ready to jump in. First of all, we're going to do another statistic. Statistics shows on WordPress.com. Who would better know this, how to communicate, than WordPress.com? It says that we communicate with 55% of our body movements. So it's our body language. If your arms are folded, then we know that you're guarded. If your voice is, is getting loud and aggressive, that's going to come in at 38%. We talk. WordPress.com says that 38% of our communication is expressed through our voice tone and our modulation. It says only 7% of our communication is expressed through words. So only 7% of the time are people listening to what you are saying. Otherwise, they are listening to your tone, They are watching your body language. They are listening to how loud you are or how aggressive that you are. And that is the strangest thing to me, because a lot of broken people who have been abused or who suffer with low self-esteem or just, have a lack of confidence, a lot of those people, they don't necessarily look for your words. They're looking in their environment. And they're reading, your body language to know, when should I fight or when should I flight? When should I shut down emotionally to protect myself from verbal abuse? When should I get out of here because the person's voice is getting too loud and getting too aggressive? So a lot of broken people, and of course, I am no different. I am in that number as well. Definitely not, separating myself from the crowd. But a lot of us who have gone through things on the battlefield of life, we're on the lookout. So that's why we have to approach people with of course, love and kindness. The Bible scripture that we are covering tonight is it is going to be in Romans 12. And we're going to start at verse 9. And it says, let love be without hypocrisy. Abhor what is evil. Cling to what is good. Be kindly affectionate to one another with brotherly love. In honor, giving preference to one another. Not lagging in diligence. Fervent in spirit, serving the Lord. Rejoicing in hope, patient in tribulation, continuing steadfastly in prayer, distributing to the needs of the saints, giving to hospitality. Bless those who persecute you. Bless and do not curse. Rejoice with those who rejoice, and weep with those who weep. Be of the same mind toward one another. Do not set your mind on high things, but associate with the humble. Do not be wise in your own opinion. Repay no one evil for evil. Have regard for good things in the sight of all men. If it is possible, as much as depends on you, live peaceably with all men. Beloved, do not avenge yourselves, but rather give place to wrath, for it is written, vengeance is mine, I will repay, says the Lord. Therefore, if your enemy is hungry, feed him. If he is thirsty, give him a drink, for in so doing you will heap coals of fire on his head. Do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good. And that is the New King James Version. And I know you're wondering, what does this have to do with communication? So let's go back here to the Bible verse, Romans 12:18. It says, if it is possible, as much as depends on you, live peaceably with all men. And this is where communication comes into play. How can you live peaceably with people that you do not communicate with? Communication is your channel to everybody that you come in contact with. Whether that communication, as we stated before, through text messages, emails, Facebook, Twitter, face-to-face, whether that communication channel is written, or whether that communication channel is verbalized, whether that communication channel is seen by the way you fold your arms or your body language. Communication is our channel, and it is our avenue into the world of the people who are around us. I would not know how your day is until I communicate with you. You would not know how I feel until I let you in, to let you know those intimate, deep secrets or those intimate thoughts. So communication is how to live peaceably with your brother. If you are aggressive to everybody that comes around you, and we're going to deal with 4 communication styles, and this is going to usher us right into that. Those 4 communication styles are aggressive, they are passive aggressive, and they are assertive. And we're going to learn the best ways to talk and communicate with one another. Okay? So how do we live peaceably with our brother? And we're going to quote that, okay? It says, if it is possible, as much as depends on you, which means as much as you can do. If it is possible, as much as you can do, live peaceably with all men. And it does not say live peaceably just with your family, just with the people that you get paid to work with, just with the people that live in your household, that is your husband and is your kids. It does not say just live peaceably with all white men because that is the color that you are, or all black people because that is the color that you are, or live peaceably with all educated people because you're educated. It does not say live peaceably with all the people that are in your class and make the same amount of money that you make. It does not discriminate against who you should live peaceably with. It says, if it is possible, as much as it depends on you, live peaceably with all men. But how can you communicate? Whether through Twitter, Instagram, Google+, Facebook, whether through a blog, whether through YouTube, whether through face-to-face conversations, going out to eat, coming home, lying in the bed, talking to your husband, talking to your wife, sitting at the kitchen table with your children. How can you live peaceably with anyone if you do not know how to communicate? A lack of communication is destroying 20-year marriages because you love that person and cannot communicate it to them. A lack of communication is separating mothers from daughters and fathers from sons because you want the best for your kids. You want the best for your sister, the best for your brother, the best for your girlfriends. You want the best for people, but when you open up your mouth, it comes out wrong. Number one, we have to go back to the poem and realize that the people that we see are not necessarily the people that we're talking to. She might look good and she might have her makeup on and she might look like she has self-esteem and she might look confident, but she still might be a broken girl who lost her crown on the battlefield of life. He might be dressed up in a suit and he might be articulate. He might be a lawyer. He might be a doctor. He might be the pastor. But when you raise your voice, he might be the broken boy deep down that you're talking to who lost his crown on the battlefield of life. We must talk to everyone with love. And that is what that scripture says. It's the first thing. Romans 12:9 says, let love be without hypocrisy. That means that if you love me, show me. How can you love me and curse me? And it says, bless and do not curse. Bless those even who persecute you. Bless and do not curse. That's Romans 12:14. Let love be without hypocrisy. How can you love me and curse me? How can you hug and kiss me in one sentence and in one setting and then curse me and get angry and jab at me in the next one? That is love. That is hypocritical love. And hypocritical means that you are a hypocrite. We are being a hypocrite. We say one thing, but we're doing another thing. Those things are just opposed to one another. They are counteractive to one another. They counter each other. Which means that you're loving me here, but you're cursing me there. You're loving me here, but you're gossiping behind my back there. That is love that is hypocritical. You're telling me that you got my back. You're there for me. You're down for me. If I need anything, call me. You were best friends. We can talk about secrets, but you're telling my secrets to everybody on the other end. You're loving me because you're listening to me, but you can't keep the secrets. That's a communication problem. Because there's a lack of trust in that environment. There's a lack of confidentiality. That's an issue. That's a foundation breaker. To somebody, that's a deal breaker. You know, you're talking to me, but the moment I don't get it quick enough as a supervisor or as a husband or as a wife or as a parent, if I don't get it quick enough, your voice is escalated. You're using words, dumb, stupid. You can't get this. I only asked you to do that. That is love that is hypocritical. The Bible, Romans 12, verse 9 says, let love be without hypocrisy. Communication is the channel to one person to the next. You don't know my world unless I communicate it to you. You don't know my thoughts or my feelings unless I communicate it to you. So why not use communication to express your love one to another? And let no hypocrisy of love lie in your communications to your children, to your husband, to your friend, to your sister, to your brother, to your church member, to your organization member. Make a decision today that communication is going to be how I transport my love to the people who are in my life. Do not allow your communication to be just an expression of your anger, how I release my anger and frustration out on people. Don't let communication serve that purpose, because when you do, that is love with hypocrisy. And if you do have anger and frustration, communicate those things with love. Just as the poem said, and we're going to go back here. It says, so when you speak, double dip, sugarcoat each and every word. And if you don't mind, add 2 scoops of vanilla ice cream with caramel topping plus the cherry on top, because those are my favorite flavors. So go the extra mile and talk not just to the person that you see sitting in front of you, but talk to the potentially broken person, boy or girl, that lies within them. Because in every king, there is a little boy. And in every dressed up queen, there is a little girl princess that lies within, who carry wounds that you may never know of. But when you speak to them with love. Speak to them gentle. Even if they have wronged you, the Bible says still bless them and don't get revenge, because it says, vengeance is mine, I will repay them, says the Lord. So if somebody communicate aggressively with you, you do not. You are ordered by the Most High Judge. You are ordered by the Lord to not repay them with vengeance. Not repay them with lashing words, words that cut deep like a sword. Don't let your communication be used in a negative way. And so we're going to talk about, number one, how people see things differently. This is a wooden rose. Okay, we're going to talk about communication, so let's dive in. Somebody might look at this wooden rose and they might say, this is hard. This is hard. I wouldn't want this for a gift. It's hard. It's made out of wood. Somebody may look at this same rose and say it's soft and it's gentle. Because even though it's made out of wood, it is yet still a rose. So everybody see things differently. And just as you see art differently, you hear words differently. You read body language differently. And you read body language sometimes, and you hear words sometimes out of our brokenness, out of our life experiences. If you've had a verbally abusive parent, then the supervisor that comes to you to critique you, to help you, you might see him as being harsh. You might see her as being very critical and ultraly unsensitive. Because you're not hearing that supervisor, you're hearing that verbally abusive parent in the back of your mind. I want each and every one of us to know that with the point of view with this rose, neither point of view is wrong. Because in some way we are all hard on the outside, just as hard as this rose. But yet we are just as gentle as this rose on the inside. So when you talk to people who look like they're of big stature and they're muscle bound and they come from the hard knock life, still be gentle in them when you're talking to them. Because there is still a gentle boy or a gentle girl, even in the most hardest exterior of a person. We're going to talk about some communication skills to not use. Number one, passive. When you are passive, the definition of that, of course, is someone who does not speak up for themselves. You know, they go with the flow. If somebody gives them the wrong hamburger that they ordered or something, they take it, they pay for it, they take it, they don't bring it back to the counter. You know, if somebody get loud with them or disrespect them or embarrass them, they take it. With this communication style, a lot of time this passive communication style is coupled with low self-esteem and a person who feels unworthy of respect. They feel unworthy for you to talk to them with decency and in order and with love. They feel unworthy of love. So when you talk down to this person, you are reiterating the voice that is within them that is constantly talking down to them deep down inside. That voice is telling them they're ugly, they're stupid, they're dumb. So when you say those things to them, you're only repeating what they've already told themselves. And so they take it. They're not going to call you out on it. You know, passive people often have a dependent personality. They are the people who cannot speak up for themselves, so they usually couple up with an aggressive person who can speak up for them. Passive, of course, is often seen and associated with low self-esteem, and the solution for passive is to research assertive communication and begin to use that assertive communication. Began to feel worthy just as a human being. Feel worthy of love. Know that you are worthy of respect. Know that you are worthy of a healthy relationship where somebody is not verbally abusive or passive aggressive or physically abusive. You are worthy because you are beautifully and wonderfully made. And marvelous are the works of the Lord's hand when He made you. He made you in His image. He thinks the world of you. His Son died on the cross for you. So you are worthy of somebody to love and respect you and to use their communication as a channel to transport that love to you. And not that negative verbal lashing. And definitely not any physical abuse. That is passive communication. Now we're going to talk about aggressive communication. People who are aggressive, a lot of times that aggression is basically sugar coated or coated in with fear. Inside of aggression lies the seed of fear. Because aggression is of course is loud, is boisterous, is back up off me, is disrespectful. It is very in your face. It's a lack of respect for boundaries. It's a lack of even knowing. It is an ignorance to appropriate conversation, appropriate communication, and aggressive just don't know when to stop. It gets in your face. It gets in your space. These are the people that you're at a board meeting and, they're coming at you disrespectfully and it's very unprofessional. These are the people that's cursing, I'll do this to you, I'll do that, how dare, what I mean? You might say just the simplest thing to these people, but because they're so insecure and they're so broken in the inside, the smallest thing will set them off. And here it is, you could be, at your job or at the church or just at a movie, at a parade, and you're getting in a fight with this person just because, you stepped on their shoe by mistake. Or just because you told them, excuse me, sir, can I pass by? And all of a sudden, you see all of this space go around. You don't need to be asking me. So these people are just inappropriate. They are loud and obnoxious. And you know that you're this type of person when you come around and people leave. Because people don't want to be in the company of that aggression. That aggression is often covering up fear. Because what it is saying is, if I roar loud enough, I'll scare you before you approach me and scare me. That's what it's saying. I'll back you up off of me before you can hurt me. So before I let you come close to me and get in my space, I'll do something. I'll make you do just what people do. I'll make you go the other way when you see me coming, so you won't hurt me. A lot of times also, aggressive people have been taught this, bullying, intimidating. Somebody have more than likely bullied them or intimidated them. And so they've learned that the way to get their needs met is to bully and to intimidate. If you have a parent, who is always fussing, always cursing, always yelling, and you are in fear of that parent. So anything they ask you to do, you do it and you do it quickly. If they ask you to jump, you ask how high and you don't hesitate. So that parent have used their aggressive communication style. They have used that, very authoritative, communication to, basically whip us into shape. And so we learn from the parent that in order to get what you want, in order to make people jump, when you say jump, in order to make people do what you want them to do without hesitation, well, you know what? In order to get that, this is how I got to get it. I got to be loud. I got to bully. I got to intimidate people. So that style, the spiritual component of that, we're talking about the psychological component of it as it relates to psychology. But the spiritual component of that is that there is a lack of love. Anytime you can bully somebody and hurt somebody and take your pain out on other people, and anytime you can disrespect people at the drop of a hat, and anytime you can, take your insecurities or even your jealousy out on other people and have a sharp lashing tongue, or take your fears out on other people, or take your deeply rooted unresolved issues out on other people in an aggressive manner, allowing, communication to transport negativity. And negativity is basically a form of evil. Because negativity is not, and not necessarily from God, depending on what context you're putting it in. So if it's not from God, who is that negativity from? Who is that negative energy from? If you're always threatening people, always cursing, always getting loud, that is not of God. So if you're not allowing the Lord to use you, who are you letting use you? And if I had to answer that question, which I don't mind, I would say it's the devil. And spiritual component, that is a lack of love in your life. When you love people, love does not bring about pain. It does not boast. It is long-suffering. It is patient. Love is not quick-tempered. It is not negative. It is not nasty. It is not intimidating. It is not bullying. It is not obnoxious. That is not love. And God is love. So if you lack love in your life, this is going to be your primarily communication style. If, this is the background of which you come from for the most part. So the solution for this is to get into your Bible and learn to, number one, love yourself. Because when you're acting like that, when you're acting, what people would call ignorant, loud, always got something to say, attitude, acting just ignorant, nobody wants to be around you, who you're embarrassing more than anybody is yourself. Who you're hurting more than anybody is you. Because number one, who's going to stay in a relationship with somebody like that? Who's going to stay in a friendship with someone like that? Who's going to, keep a person as an employee who acts like that at the job? So this is why, if this is your personality or communication style, this is why a lot of your friendships, a lot of your jobs are not lasting. A lot of your relationships or your marriages might not be right. This is why you and your kids cannot get on the same page. This is why people don't want to be around you, and family members often leave you out because no one wants to be around this. So the person that you're hurting more than anybody is yourself. So we want to fix that. We're going to move on to passive aggressive. Passive aggressive people have a mixture of passive and a mixture of aggressive. Number one, they are aggressive in the sense that they are just as attackful as aggressive people. They are just as, off-putting, just as negative, just as nasty, just as ignorant as aggressive people. But what they do is they tie their negative attitude up in a nice pretty little bow and they serve it to you. Okay? So they are ignorant enough to say negative things, but they're smart enough to try to sugarcoat those negative things. But how many of you know negative is negative? Don't matter if you sugarcoat negative, negative is still negative. Because when you bite into it, you can still taste the negative on the inside. So passive people are the type of people, if you walk in a room and if you have a lot of things on your mind, maybe you're preparing for a presentation, maybe you got statistics report that you have to turn in from work, maybe you have a child whose homework, you're trying to get ideas on how can I help him or her with their homework, maybe you have a spouse, you're thinking about what am I going to be cooking tonight, for my husband, or cooking for my wife tonight. You have a lot on your mind, so you walk in the room and you don't speak because you got a million thoughts running through your mind. And you sit down, grab your purse, got your purse seated right next to you. You're sitting down comfortably and your mind is still racing with all of these things that you have to go home and do, you might have to work out, just organizing your schedule. And the passive aggressive person in the room says, today is just it's a different time. It's just a different time. Back in my day, people used to speak to you. But nowadays, people walk in the room, they don't even acknowledge you. How many of you know that you cannot sugarcoat ignorance? Because they are aggressive enough to say the statement, but they're passive in the way that they didn't call your name. They're not talking directly to you. So they're saying what they're saying, but they're not saying it directly. They're being just as negative and nasty, but they're acting like this is general terms. And this is what they call nice nasty. Okay? They call that, they're being nice nasty, but it's still nasty. You're not ignorant enough to be loud and be looked at as or viewed as ghetto. But you're ignorant enough to still make the ignorant statement. But you think that people cannot see your ignorance because at least you wrapped it up in a ribbon. But how many of you know that people will still, when they see you coming, they will still go in the opposite direction? A lot of people with this description, they suppress their feelings. They feel like I should not be offended by this. It's kind of like a pride issue. I should not let this person know that they hurt me by walking in the room and not speaking. So I'm not going to say it directly to them. But I am going to get revenge because I'm going to say it in a general manner. So rather than humbling themselves, it takes a humble person to say, you know what, it hurt me when you didn't speak. Or it hurt me when you overlooked me in that email. It hurt me when you did not acknowledge me, but you acknowledged other people. It hurt me when you missed my birthday. It hurt me when you skipped our anniversary. It hurt me when you didn't give me my card for Mother's Day or give me a gift for Father's Day. That takes a person that is, number one, humble, to acknowledge hurt and pain and effectively communicate that to another person. But if you are prideful, you won't humble yourself to acknowledge your hurt and pain. And if you have a passive-aggressive communication style, you'll say, Susie got her Mother's Day gift. That's a beautiful family over there. That's a good family to give Miss Susie her Mother's Day gift, because they know that lady work hard. They know she's in that house washing clothes and cooking and being the best wife and best mother. And here it is, other people doing the same thing, and they don't even get any type of acknowledgement. Rather than just coming out and saying, it hurt me, we have too much pride. And a lot of that pride comes from the fact that we were never allowed to show pain or never allowed to show emotions. We were always told, suck it up. Crying is weakness. Whining is weakness. But that is also miscommunication, because crying is human. And whining, if something hurts your feelings, is a part of life. You're not a robot. So we have to go back and rewire the way we think and allow ourselves to express those, feelings in an assertive manner. Okay? Passive-aggressive people are fearful as well. A lot of times scared of rejection. They're scared that if I go all out, I'll be looked at as ignorant, but also I'm not going to let this slide. So there's some issues with that as well. However, we're going to go right into assertiveness. Assertive is often coupled with confident. It is direct. It is honest. It is open. Assertive people allow you to have a brain of your own. Aggressive people, they tell you what to think. And assertive people, they say, well, you know what? I didn't receive that email. Everybody in the group got the email except for me. I'm just asking you, why did you not send that email to me? You know, did you forget? Or did you maybe thought you sent it to me, but it didn't go through? You know, how did I get left out of the group on this thing? And the assertive person will allow you to speak. You know, I pressed group email, and whoever was a part of the group, they received the email. I did not know that you were not a part of my group email. I'll add you and I'll get that email right to you. Where if somebody that is passive, they'll get left out the group and they don't feel worthy, so they won't say anything. Somebody that is aggressive, you know, they will say, well, how you going to send the email to everybody else and don't send it to me? What type of stuff is this? Somebody that is passive aggressive will say, you know what, people send emails around here, but they send it to who they want to send it to. But an assertive person is often a confident person. They don't have to fake like their feelings are not hurt like the passive aggressive people do. They know that they are human. So if I know that I'm human, I have the right to feel left out. I have the right to have my feelings, you know, to express that my feelings was hurt. And I have the right to communicate that to you. And of course, communicate it out of love. Communicate it with an open mind. So look, I just want to ask you, hey, what's up with that? You know, I want to give you the opportunity to tell me where your mind was at. And you might say, look, I was upset with you last week. I didn't send the email to you. That was a childish thing that I did. You know, look, I'm glad you called me out on it. I'll get it right to you. No problem. All right. You know, that's it. It's settled. Assertive person, you know, often have self-esteem because they feel that they're worthy of respect. They feel that they're worthy. If I pay for a hamburger, or if I pay for a shoe, I don't expect to get 2 different sizes in the box when I come home. I don't expect to have two left shoes in the box when I come home. You know, so I'm going to go to the counter. I'm not going to be aggressive. Here it is. I went all the way home. Y'all owe me something for this. No, you're going to go back up there. Excuse me, you all. Look, got home. It was 2 different sizes in the shoe. You know, what can we do about this? Do you have the shoe? You know, how can we correct this? You know, on top of that, you know, what type of things do you all do to accommodate people, you know, who have driven all the way home? And of course, I'm a faithful customer here. I've had to drive all the way back. This is a serious inconvenience. Do you all do anything to accommodate situations like this? Okay, so you're not being passive, you're not being aggressive, you're not being passive aggressive. Well, look, I'm bringing these shoes up here. It would be nice if y'all could give somebody something for this. That's passive aggressive. Just say it outright. When you are an assertive communicator, it clears up the air. You don't have to assume that the person was out to hurt you. You don't have to assume that they did it intentionally. Assertive communication help us to build strong foundational marriages, friendships, relationships with our brothers, our sisters, our husbands, our wives, our kids. Hey, look, I asked you to wash the clothes yesterday. I see that the clothes was still left in the hamper. You know, where is this coming from? You know, did you hear me when I told you to do it? Because I know I said it loud enough. You should have heard me. You know, is this you trying to be disobedient? You know, where is this coming from? Well, Mom, look, I was working on a homework project. I stayed up late doing the homework. I ended up falling asleep. And I meant to put the clothes in the washer before I fell asleep. Mom, I'm sorry. I'll do it right now. So assertive keep that love flowing. It keeps the understanding flowing. It keeps the misunderstandings out the way. The devil, a lot of time, he uses our communication styles to harm each other. He uses, you know, being passive, sucking it all up, taking it all in. You know, and then You're so passive, you think you're being nice, but really you're hurting yourself because you might explode. You know, you can only take so much. You don't want to give yourself a mental breakdown. You don't want to give yourself high blood pressure. You know, you don't want to affect your health or affect your emotions by just taking all of those things in until you just explode. Because that is the enemy using your communication style to harm you, to harm your health, harm your well-being. You know, a lot of people that are passive, they never say anything out loud, but they're going over those things in their mind. She said this to me. That was wrong what she said. I should have spoke up. I should have said that. That was embarrassing. So that is a lot of built up tension and built up anger and built up resentment. And trust me, you might be passive, but that aggression is still coming out somewhere because you're human. You know, a lot of times the enemy will use our aggressive personalities to put people down, put them in their place. That is somebody's daughter that you're talking to. That's somebody's son. And number one, God created them. That's his creation. Who are you to talk down to them, belittle them, disrespect them? Who are you? And remember, all while you're doing that, the Lord says vengeance is his. So you don't want the Lord to get revenge on you when you harm his sons and his daughters. So you still want to communicate with love and kindness so that we can live peaceably with people. You don't want to discriminate with color. You don't want to discriminate with race or discriminate with age. You want to live peaceably with all men. And you want to do it with love. You don't want to use those passive aggressive jabs because a lot of times passive aggression begets passive aggression in other people. Because if you come to me and you say, well, people around here don't speak, that's going to plant a seed in that other person to say, well, people around here are petty. People around here are childish. Because when you feel like you're not worthy to address a situation directly, or you lack the confidence to be direct, you lack the confidence to be open and honest, you lack the worthiness and the self-esteem to feel heard, then when you speak in a passive-aggressive manner, that other person often feel like, well, you know what? I can't be upset with her because she didn't say it directly to me. So because she wasn't direct with me, I can't be direct with her. So it makes them come back with passive aggression. Well, people are petty around here. Well, people should add their name to the group email. Well, people shouldn't be, fussing and making small things bigger than what they are. People shouldn't be so stupid. So whatever communication style that you give, sometimes that also makes people want to give that communication style back to you. So you want to be careful of that, and you want to be assertive. And some different techniques with assertive communication style is the broken record. Keep repeating what you said. They might get off topic. They might get loud. They might get ghetto. They might go passive. They might go passive aggressive, but keep repeating it. Well, sir, look, I'm still just a little bit concerned with why I was left off the email. Well, I was doing this. I ain't got time to be talking to you about that. This stuff stupid. This stuff petty. Well, you know what? Wait a minute now. Calm down. I'm just trying to get an answer from you. I'm still trying to figure out, why did you leave me on the email? Well, I'm responsible for all of this around here. I ain't got time to be talking to you about that. Well, look, I'm still trying to figure out why you didn't wash the clothes like I asked you to. Well, I'm still trying to figure out if you all love me and if you all value me. Why didn't I get a Mother's Day gift? Well, I got to do this and I got to pay these bills and I'm still trying to figure this out. Stay calm. Stay continuing to speak out of love, and what they call that is the broken record technique. I'm still asking this question. Do not buy into, people would try to distract you. They would try to throw you off. They would try to change the subject, divert the subject. They might try to throw it on you. Well, you did this, so I didn't do that. No, I'm still trying to figure out why was I left off the email. Okay. Another one is inquiring. Assertive people, they ask questions. Well, I just want to know why was my name left off the email, or I just wanted to know, why did you all not feel the need to get me a Mother's Day gift or a Father's Day gift, or why was my birthday overlooked? They inquire, they ask questions. Assertive communication also use I statements. They own their feelings because they feel worthy of love. They know that they're human. I have the right to feel this way. I just feel like, I was intentionally overlooked. I feel like this was unfair. I feel like, I feel that my feelings are hurt right now. I statements. Also, assertive communication. Passive people just go with whatever you tell them to think they think it. But assertive people say, well, you know what? I can agree with you up to this point. I can agree with money being tight. But for you not to get me anything for my birthday, I could have settled with a card that you made yourself. I could have settled with some flowers, free from a rose bush, because it's the thought that counts. So I can agree with you that money might be tight, but I have to disagree for that to be a justification for you not to just give me a gift or do anything at all. Okay? So, we're going to end on this note here. It's just like if I'm talking right now and I'm asking you all, how are you doing, and how was your day, and how is this, and how is that, and blah, 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 blah. It might be hard for you to hear. It might be hard for you to hear past the clutter. And I want you to know that that is a realization in the people's lives that are around you. Some people have so many things going on in the inside of them, where they've been broken, they've been battered, they've been hurt, they've been let down, they lack self-esteem, they lack confidence. So when you're speaking to them, you have to speak over all of the things that are in their mind, all of their feelings, all of their brokenness. You have to speak over those things, and sometimes you have to speak to those things. Well, look, you are a lovely person. Let's sugarcoat it. Let's double dip it in with 2 vanilla ice creams and caramel and cherry on top, as the poem stated before. You are a wonderful person, but I am going to ask that next time that mommy asks you to wash the clothes, I want you to wash the clothes first to make sure that they get done. Hey, look, you are a great coworker, girl. You are super cool to work with. But I'm going to tell you now, please add me to the group email, because I'm not going to lie, I kind of felt a little down. I felt a little left out when you didn't. You are a wonderful husband. You come home every night. You are a great provider. You work hard, and I get it. You would have rather not have given me a gift at all in order to give me something that was cheap or handmade. But I want to let you know that I'm not with you for your money. And I'm not, the quality of the gift didn't really matter. It was just the thought that counted. So next time I would gladly take, a bag of Skittles if that's my favorite candy, just to know that you thought about me. Because the pain of me thinking that you don't value me around this house, and that you don't value the fact that I'm a good mother and I'm a good wife, and you don't value the day that I was born or the anniversary of my birth date, that pain was so much greater than had you just gotten me something small that didn't cost as much. So that is assertive communication. Being able to know that I'm human. I feel, I hurt, I cry. And I have the right to feel. I have the right to hurt. I have the right to cry. And I have the right to feel worthy to be respected and to be loved. And, when I'm asked somebody to do something, if I'm their parent, for them to do those things. And this is how we use communication to transport and commute our love one to another. And as we're talking, as the statistics said that only 12% of effective communication